Welcome to the Oracle of Enlightenment. This is the Observer here along with Mr. Rob Conway. Rob, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show.
I appreciate you having me, but as you know, I'm the Ironman Rob Conway, so let's get that straight from the get-go if we're going to do this interview right.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ironman, sir. So let's start off with, what was it like working in WWE?
WWE was a great experience. It was a lifelong goal to make it to the WWE because in the wrestling business, that is making it to the top. I had an opportunity to travel the world and be in a WrestleMania, 3 of them, and to have an action figure and be in a video game. So almost everything that you ever dream of as a kid, if you're into wrestling and want to be a wrestler, I've been able to accomplish it. And it's allowed me to be able to take my career to the next level, to wrestle all over the world for other promotions, as well as opportunities to get into acting.
Yeah, that must have been amazing, working for Vince McMahon and being with all the greats that you wrestled. What was your favorite match?
I have a lot of favorite matches. It's hard to narrow it down to just one. But
How about WWE pay-per-view?
Well, I'll tell you what, when we won, I was in La Resistance, and we were in the tag team division, and we won the World Tag Team Championships in Montreal, in Quebec, as La Resistance, waving the flags and having the crowd react. It was the only time in the history of my WWE career that I was actually cheered for, and we won the world title, so it was a great day.
Yeah, La Resistance was amazing. It was one of the best tag teams of all time.
Yeah, I think we were really underrated because I think the time that we spent as a team over the 3 years we were together, there was a lot of teams that came and went, but we were the only team that stayed together, and we kind of were a main staple for the tag team division for those years, and I think sometimes that's overlooked in the longevity of the fans, and it's not really given the credit that La Resistance deserved.
Yes, but you were big among us fans, let me tell you, and we really loved you.
Well, when you loved us, you mean when we came out and you chanted USA and booed us. If that's what you mean by love, then I appreciate it. But yeah, we would get booed out of the building, and we liked every second of it.
Well, you got your faces and you got your heels. Whichever one you are, you're good at.
Well, even when we were getting booed, in our minds, we were always right, and we were always the good guys.
Exactly. What got you into wrestling?
I watched it as a kid. That's most people, that get into it. They watch it as a kid, and then at some point, I fell out of watching it. I got into other things, and then around 1996, I started watching it again, and it was really getting popular. With WCW had the NWO, and WWF at the time had Generation X, and it was really getting really popular. I started watching it again, and at the time, I was into amateur bodybuilding. And people would just come to me on the street and say, "Hey, are you a wrestler?" And I thought, I always thought those guys were a lot bigger than me. But I figured out that I had the physique for it. Now I just had to learn. And there was a school just 9 minutes from my house called the Danny Davis School of Professional Wrestling that later became Ohio Valley Wrestling, which became the developmental territory for the WWE, and right now is one of the longest running television shows that there is. So I was fortunate that I lived right where the best training facility in the world was.
Danny Davis, that was former wrestler, boxer, and referee Danny Davis?
There's a misconception of that because there's two Danny Davises. There was the Danny Davis that was in the WWF at the time, who was the manager and the referee, and then there was more of a southern-based wrestler by the name of the Nightmare Danny Davis. And the Nightmare Danny Davis is actually the one who had trained me and Eugene and Randy Orton and John Cena and Batista and Brock Lesnar. So the Nightmare Danny Davis at Ohio Valley Wrestling is the one that trained all the top guys. Not that the other Danny Davis wasn't an entertaining character, but sometimes I think he might get credit for training all these guys when it was the Nightmare Danny Davis based out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. What other federations have you wrestled with?
Well, I've wrestled for the NWA, which is the longest running company in wrestling business in history. They've been around longer than everybody, and I've wrestled for quite a few different promotions, Ohio Valley Wrestling included, but one that I'm real excited about now is called JCW, It's Juggalo Championship Wrestling, and we have internet pay-per-views every other Thursday live, and it's only $5, and you go to psychopathiclive.com to watch some of the wrestlers that you've seen on all the other organizations. We all came together, and it's a different product than what you would see on television. It's quite a variety show, and it's a spectacle to watch.
I see. What's your favorite kind of specialty match, like steel cage, barbed wire match, pole, something on a pole match?
For a long time, early in my career, I was kind of known for, they called it a coal miner's glove on a pole match.
Yes, I remember those.
And what it was is, for a long time, I used to wear a glove on my right hand, and every once in a while that glove would get loaded and somebody would get knocked out, and then I would be the winner. So there's been a lot of times where, in order for someone to get even with me, we would have the coal miner's glove, which actually has chains laced all around it on a pole. So I've had a lot of those matches. I've won some, I've lost some, but they're always interesting because the main part of the whole match is to get to that glove, and if you can get to it, then you can use it. So it's something different than just about any other kind of match I've had.
Yeah, I don't see many of those around anymore. Who was your favorite opponent?
I would say my favorite opponent was Eugene from WWE, and the reason that Eugene is Eugene, but he wasn't always Eugene. He was originally Nick Dinsmore, and when I first started wrestling, he was the guy that I called because I knew him from around my town and said, "Hey, what do you think about this school?" And he said, give it a try. So me and him teamed up for the first year and a half I was in the wrestling business, and we probably wrestled each other 500 times before he actually became Eugene in WWE. And then I wrestled him in his very first match that he had there, and then we went on to wrestle each other, where he teamed with Ric Flair, and then he teamed later with Jimmy Snuka, and I wrestled him in quite a few different pay-per-views. So we kind of have a history together, and I'd have to say that he's been by far my favorite opponent, just because I wrestled him more than anybody and have known him the longest.
I see. Was being in WWE different from being in all the other federations? Since, as you said, it's like the top?
Well, it is the top, and the thing about the WWE that sets it apart from other federations was the hectic travel schedule. Obviously, the crowds are bigger, and there's a lot of money to be made. But I would say the main difference between the WWE and other federations is when you go to the towns. Like I just went to Australia. I just got back on Monday. I went there for 2 weeks. I seen just about every site that there was to see in Melbourne and Perth, Australia. And when I went there with WWE, I've been there twice, and all I ever saw was the hotel, the gym, and the arena. I've been to Hawaii twice with WWE, and I've only seen the hotel and the airport and the arena. So there's not a lot of time to see other things. Where I'm on more of an independent schedule where I choose where I want to wrestle, I get more of an opportunity to stay for a few days and get to see stuff. And that's really important. I've been to 49 states and 11 countries, and when I was with WWE, I really saw nothing.
Yeah, I've heard that. Is there anything else you'd specifically like to speak about?
Well, I would like to talk about my website. It's the IronmanRobConway.com. You can go on there. It has merchandise. It has my schedule. It has my biography, a little more in depth about me as a person, and you can also get in contact with me through my website, the IronmanRobConway.com. And then here today, I'd like to talk about a project that's upcoming, and it might be my acting debut with Warsport 2041. And it's really excited about that. It's going to be a 14-part miniseries, and it's going to be something that's different than what anybody's seen me do in the past, and probably different as far as any miniseries that they've seen. So it's something new, it's a new genre, and it's something I'm really excited about. And you can learn more about that by going to the IronmanRobConway.com.
Yeah, I know you're called the Iron Man. Have you done a lot of Iron Man matches?
I've done one Ironman match, but I didn't give myself the nickname. The Nightmare Danny Davis, who trained me before my very first match, when I walked out, they introduced me as the Iron Man Rob Conway. So that's the one thing about a nickname, is you can't give it to yourself, but it seemed to fit. And now, whether it's John Cena or Randy Orton or Eugene or John Morrison, when they call me on the phone or I see them, first thing they say is, well, how's it going, Iron Man? Because I was the Iron Man before I went to WWE, and I'm the Iron Man after, and that's how everybody knows me.
You think you might return to WWE in the future?
I'd say that there's a definite possibility. I mean, I know that I stay in fantastic shape at all time. I have a passion for wrestling, and I have talked to him on a few separate occasions about returning, not only as a wrestler but also as someone to guide the newer wrestlers down in Tampa. They have an organization down there, their newer developmental territory, and to have a class down there and help train the new guys. Because I did that before, and when I was in Ohio Valley Wrestling and I was in WWE, I was actually, on the days that I wasn't on the road, I actually trained a class that had Cody Rhodes, Maurice, Kelly, Beth Phoenix, quite a few of the people who are mainstays on the show now.
Yeah, Beth Phoenix is from Buffalo.
Yeah, she's a great athlete too.
Yeah, she is. All right, well, thank you very much for granting us this interview, and as I said, it's been an honor and a privilege, sir.
Thank you very much, Sal. I'd just like to say once again that it's been an honor for me, and I really appreciate your time. And once again, if you want to know anything about the Ironman, you go to the IronmanRobConway.com. Thank you very much.
Yes, the Iron Man, Rob Conway, folks.